Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Best, and welcome to the Best Path Forward podcast. The whole point of this podcast is to talk with some of my best friends about tools and resources that they use to find the best path forward throughout any trials they have going on in their life. The general flow will be like this. My guests will pick something called a bike brain, which is a snapshot of a journal entry that I like to do every day. And then we'll talk about how that one tool has helped us both out. And then the guests will talk about what their tool that they brought with them today to prepare today, as far as what they use to find their own best path forward in life. And so without further ado, here's my guest, Luke.
Thanks, Dan.
Yes. So Luke, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Luke Lashinsky. I've been friends with Dan for about 2 years now at this point. I am a nurse practitioner in my job on a regular basis. I really enjoy getting outside, doing some hiking and seeing things like camping, and also some baseball from time to time.
Oh, you play baseball?
Yeah, still play some baseball.
When did you start playing baseball?
Since I was about 5 years old, I'd say.
You've been playing baseball for over 20 years?
Majority of my life, yeah.
All right, what's your favorite part about baseball?
I think the competition, the fact that you can combine both a mental and a physical game. And it has a special place in my heart just being there for a long time.
Nice, man. Do you still play to this day?
I still play some now, yes. Just some recreational baseball.
Do you guys win?
A decent amount, yeah.
All right, I like it. All right, Luke, so you also mentioned you're kind of an outdoorsy guy?
I sure am, yeah.
What type of things do you like to do outdoors?
Mostly getting out there in the mountains, hiking a bit, camping, even a mild amount of off-roading even, just to get out there.
All right, so taking your car off the highways.
Dirt trails, a little bit of rocks, mud, whatever.
So you just go off the street and just go to the highways.
Absolutely.
All right, that's fair. What's been one of your most favorite hiking experiences recently?
So probably my best hiking experience is the one I got engaged on. My fiance and I got engaged in Rocky Mountain National Park. One of our favorite places in the world. Just always love getting out to the Rockies whenever we can.
Oh, that's awesome. I assume the engagement went well.
Oh yeah. I could tell she was nervous, but I guess she had some inside knowledge or something, but it worked out okay.
Nice, man. Well, congratulations. Well, cheers and toast to that.
Thank you.
Nice. All right, Luke, so you have an important job right now. You get to pick the date, which is going to be month, day, and year for us to talk about the bike brain. So, have you picked that yet?
Yeah, I'm going to go with April 26th of 2024.
April 26th, 2024.
Correct.
Okay, 2024, April 26. Here we go.
Great.
All right. I want you to take a look and read it first, as I explain kind of what the bike brains are. So bike brains are daily journal entries. I try to do them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I slack up on Sunday, and I am perfectly okay with that. The whole point of the bike brain is to kind of take what's going on in my head and find a way to kind of process it and help me feel better about my situation. I focus on the things I can control and let go of the rest. And so what Luke picked right now falls into the category of mind. And mind is about having mental rooms and where you can allocate that mental energy to. Be it we want to start playing sports, you want to start exercising more, you want to start reading. The best way to approach it is to create a mental room for it, what I like to categorize as mind. And so mind is where you can go in, develop tools and resources, and really dedicate some mental energy to that. Say, Luke, what do you think about that bike brain?
I like it. It's actually something we've talked about a bit more recently that I'm trying to understand better. So this is a good conversation to have then.
All right, cool. I'm going to say the caption of the bike brain, and we'll make sure everyone that's watching has an ability to see this bike brain entry. And so the title of it is going to be May Room, and it was on 4/26/2024. All right, and so it says, many folk have uttered, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. We're nearing the end of April. Chances are your goals and objectives can't be accomplished in a month. That's okay and expected. The goal of each month is to have consistent incremental progress, and a month is long enough to make said marked improvements, but also short enough to keep the pressure on. Dedicating mental energy toward that room allows you to keep it front and center, taking steps each day, inch by inch, along further. The fifth month, May, is just a few days away. Step into the May room to discover what worked in your mental rooms that led you to consistent incremental progress in April. Don't reset in the next month. Rather, use the progress you've made to tailor your approach so that you can progress further in the next month. And of course, that's focusing on the mind aspect of it. So, Luke, have you ever had to focus on a big task and breaking it down chunk by chunk?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done that in my life. Especially, taking it in smaller pieces always makes it more, attainable. Particular examples I can think of would be things just generally moving into a new home.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect home. You have renovations and things you want to change, but you can't do everything at once. You can't do everything in the first month, the first year, hardly even. So let's get things inside, get them organized, make adjustments to the interior and set up as you need to. It's step by step, more so than doing it all in one go.
I like it. I think also breaking big tasks down into small and manageable chunks is something that we already do. So think about reading a book. You could spend all day reading a book and try to get through as much of it as possible, but chances are you're going to be tired, you won't be able to focus on the pages, the lines will start blurring together. So instead of starting the book over every time you read it, you don't do that. What you do is you put a bookmark in, give yourself a break, kind of taking that big task and breaking it down chunk by chunk until you get it done. So I think elephants, not that we eat elephants, but I think the quote in the Proverbs is pretty much straightforward. If you have a big task, instead of looking at trying to tackle it all at once, find ways to break it down. Keep steps of what you're doing, be it journaling, be it just notes on your phone. Find ways to make small incremental steps toward achieving that goal each and every day. So I kind of like that bike brain. I think you picked a good one.
All right, thanks. Luck was with me, I guess.
Luck was definitely with you on that one. So Luke, did you prepare a tool for us to talk about today?
I did. Yes, one of the things I generally focus on in trying to get myself to be a little bit better every day is seeking discomfort. It's a good wide phrase that can cover a lot of general areas, whether it's mind, body, or spirit, but it's just a good way to find a way to get growth. Discomfort.
So you intentionally go out of your way to feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I kind of like that.
It's hard to grow if you're stuck in one place, and if you stay in your comfort zone, you're not going to get very far from there.
All right. So kind of sticking with the theme of mind, say we create a room of discomfort. What types of tools and resources are in there for you to find ways to make yourself uncomfortable in situations, or about how you approach personal development?
One of the things that just more recently have been using is, two things particularly are the ritual board and the accountability mirror. Accountability mirror is stolen from Goggins himself, who's behind my shoulder.
Yeah, Goggins is literally staring at you over your left shoulder. That's really funny.
And so that's something I've been outlining things that I want to do. What are my end goals and how I can get there? And what are things that are in my way? What things do I not want to do because they sound honestly uncomfortable or something that disinterests me? And those are things I try to strive for, the things that are discomfortable that will help me get to my goal. Honestly, one of the things that you can do on a regular basis to find out what would help you get better, what things to improve, where's your end goal, and what things can help you get there that you don't want to do. And honestly, that's a good place to start. Okay. Because if you know they can help get you there and you don't want to do them, that can actually get you even better benefit for your brain, for your spirit. The fact that you conquered things that you either don't want to do or didn't think you can do goes beyond the physical benefit you would get from any challenge.
I like that. So you brought up two things that I kind of want to touch point on. The accountability mirror, and then also the tracking board. What'd you call that?
The ritual board.
Ritual board. I like both those things. I think those are great things to kind of help process that mental energy toward it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what a ritual board is?
So a ritual board is something that I was inspired to in my two books I always go to. This one's Death by Comfort. That ritual board by Paul Taylor is the author of the book. He used a ritual board to help specifically identify goals, steps to reach his goals. In the book, he is a sports scientist and former SAS, Special Forces man.
Oh my.
That's decided in his 40s he wanted to become a professional boxer after doing some charity boxing for the heck of it. So to help get himself after it, to get better in 6 months to go to a professional fight, the ritual board was used to identify individual tasks that he wanted to check off that would help him reach his goals. For him, it was mostly like squats. I think he called some frog exercises, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. Anytime he saw his ritual board, he would do an exercise and he would tally them up throughout the week to keep track. So by setting goals for the week and then measuring the goals and trying to reach them and achieve them, it helps progress him down to the way where he was able to get into a professional fight. And I think he actually won too. Just a fun caveat.
Oh, that is awesome.
A lot of this inspiration for why ritual board works in the first place comes from the Hawthorne effect, or the Hawthorne theory, which I believe originates 1930s England. Essentially, it's an evaluation of human behavior and psychology. More or less the fact that when humans know they're being watched, they act differently. You can think of this at work or even in school, where you're goofing off with your friends or you're looking up something online, like, oh, the boss is coming down the hallway, I better look busy. Or here comes the teacher, put your phone away, stop passing the notes and get working on homework.
Yeah.
You act differently because you know you're being watched. Whereas if you don't think you're being watched, you can do things whatever you want to do. You can follow your impulses. And the reason the ritual board comes into play there is because if you measure these numbers, if you measure things you're doing, whether it's the hours of sleep or if it's how many push-ups you're doing or squats or caloric intake, by measuring them, you know you're being watched, you're watching yourself. And that has shown benefit to keeping yourself in check and knowing, oh, I got to eat this donut, but it's 400 calories. I have 1,900 calories to work with today. I don't want to put 400 calories down. Just not going to eat it.
A 400-calorie donut?
You'd be surprised when you look at some calorie counts of donuts out there.
Oh, don't tell me that.
300 to 400 is pretty common.
All right, so I guess we're not having donuts after this?
We're not having
It's not in our
donuts.
caloric budget at all.
Exactly.
All right, so I like the idea that you have for the ritual board. So I'm guessing this is not something you just keep track of in your mind. It's an actual board.
No, keeping track in your mind is something easy to put across, put behind and ignore. If you actually have to track the numbers and take a look at them and say, this is good or this is bad, I'm meeting my goals or I'm not meeting my goals, you can keep yourself in check that way. It's like having someone else check you. It's actually the same reason that we've had success with diabetics with continuous blood sugar monitoring. Oftentimes I get a diabetic patient on a continuous blood sugar monitor, and I won't tell them necessarily what's going to happen to them, but they always find out what makes their blood sugar worse and what makes it better. And that'll drive them to do things that make things better or worse, because if they misbehave, they do something they know they shouldn't do, their phone's going to yell at them. It's going to yell, say, hey, your blood sugar's 240. What'd you do?
Is that a high number?
That's a high number.
Okay, I don't know this. All right.
Of course. A blood sugar monitoring range consistently on a continuous blood sugar monitor usually is around 70 to 180. You don't want to be below 70, pretty much anybody. And oftentimes you don't want to be above 180. Diabetics is a lot easier to get above 180 because, well, simply the body isn't working right. So they'll find out, I ate that donut and hey, my blood sugar is 240. Well, I guess that's not a good thing for me because my phone's annoying me. But hey, I ate that celery and some peanut butter and I got, my phone didn't yell at me. That's pretty good.
That's a one. If your phone's not yelling at you, that means you're probably in a healthy state.
Exactly.
So going back to what the Hawthorne theory, it sounds like your ritual board itself is something that's kind of watching you.
Exactly.
And it's holding you accountable.
Although I'm responsible putting the data in, by seeing it, making it a visual thing that is commonly encountered in my home, I can see exactly what I'm doing. When I put things down, if I'm putting down zeros or 100s or whatnot for any section, I know if I'm succeeding or failing. I can walk past and say, oh crap, I haven't done my push-ups today. I can just drop and do them right there. It's an easy reminder to take care of myself and take care of the goals that I have in the end. It doesn't exactly spell out your end goals. It spells out the steps that you know you need to take to get there.
I like it. And so where do you kind of keep this ritual board? Is it somewhere like in your closet?
This is in my office next to my closet. So every morning when I'm getting dressed or getting ready for bed, or if I'm in my office working, it's right there next to the door and I can always look at it. So I'm seeing it multiple times throughout the day when I'm at home.
And I think that's an important part about moving the tools that you have into the real world. If you just hide them away in the closet, chances are they're not going to have that triggering effect that you need them to have.
Exactly.
So you can place them in a like a walkway that's used pretty often, you'll see it pretty often. It's like, at that point you make the choice to either do it or don't do it.
Exactly.
If you don't do it, it's like the Hawthorne effect. It's kind of like slacking off when your boss is there. If you don't do it, it doesn't feel great.
Right.
It's like I'm not hitting my goals. I'm not taking another bite of getting that elephant eaten.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the fact that you kind of have that ritual board. And so the second thing you mentioned is the accountability mirror, brought to us by Mr. David Goggins. So for those of you who don't know David Goggins, Luke, won't you give them the background of David Goggins? Yeah, take a long sip of water before this one.
Yeah, I'm going to need it.
Yeah, I might have to tag in, so I'm going to take a sip of water too. Who is David Goggins?
David Goggins, for those who don't know, is kind of the spitting image of hardness, all created by himself. He's someone who did not have the best hand of cards. If you got a group of 100 people, good chance he had the worst set of cards dealt to him. That said, he went through struggles in life. He learned from them, things that easily would have brought down the majority of people. He found himself in situations where he wanted to get out. He found out his goal of wanting to be a Navy SEAL. and just realized that he was, what, 120 pounds overweight approximately.
I know his goal or his weight was pushing over 300. He had to lose a significant amount of weight in a short amount of time.
So over 300, needed to get below 200 for certain. He decided he wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and so he decided to do it. And simply put, it sounded like it was going to kill him. It didn't. And he went after it. The accountability came down further in his career after becoming a Navy SEAL through lots of trials and tribulations to things where he knew he was slacking on, that by looking in the mirror and saying, this is what you're not doing well at. You're being soft about this, you're losing on that, this is your weaknesses, giving a realistic evaluation of self. And they said, I think his origination of that was shaving his head every day, looking himself in the mirror and talking to himself about how he did and how he was doing and where his failures were and where his opportunities were. And that ended up becoming, notes where this is what your opportunities are. This is a consistent thing. You got to focus on this. This is your weaknesses. This is what you don't want to face. This is your fear. Go right after it.
I like it. And the thing I like about the accountability mirror is that it's one of David Goggins' many tools that he uses for personal development. And so kind of like what Luke referenced for the ritual board, the cool thing about the accountability mirror is that you have these reminders in a physical location. And so I cannot stress this enough. I think one of the best ways to stay accountable to yourself is to make it real world scenarios. So be it a Post-it note or a journal book or a ritual board, whatever tool you decide to use, put it from your thought into actual practice by writing it out. Write it out in your hand. Sometimes we use technology and it's good and bad, but if you write out by hand, that's you're telling yourself that I'm going to hit this goal, that I'm going to be accountable to it, and post it everywhere. So what do you do for as far as the accountability mirror? Like what do you do with the mirror itself?
The mirror is actually where I work out. It's in my basement, and that's where I focus a lot of my energies, where I want to get better. So getting down there and taking a look at these things and saying what I want to be, what's my end goal, what are things that are keeping me in my way, what am I avoiding that will help me, what things do I not want to do that I know are going to make me better, and trying to tackle those things specifically to get to that end goal. That helps keep me in check.
All right. So you kind of mentioned that the ritual board has helped you kind of like stay track, like if I have to do a certain number of push-ups or if I have to get a number of hours of sleep, you can kind of track it every day. Is it the same thing on the accountability mirror? Do you kind of put the same information from the ritual board onto, I guess, is it Post-it notes? What do you use?
I use Post-it notes for the accountability mirror.
Okay.
Ritual board's a dry erase board. I'd say the accountability mirror is more of my end goals. And on the left side, which is the positive sides, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? What kind of things do I strive to get to? And my weaknesses can sometimes align with the ritual board. Things like, no, I don't like running particularly, and I have that very specifically outlined.
I don't understand why you don't like running. You played baseball for all these years and you still don't like running?
I still prefer rucking. But regardless, the accountability mirror is more so, what are my weaknesses? What are things that I can attract and get into? And ritual board is specific measurements of exercises that will take care of things, or specific measurements of calories or sleep or hours of fasting or journaling days. More so measurements and less so strengths and weaknesses. So I guess the ritual board is the means to the end that the accountability mirror is highlighting.
Okay. So what do you do once you kind of succeed in something that's your accountability mirror? Do you kind of leave it up there, or do you take it down and throw it away and put a new one up?
It stays.
It stays.
It stays.
What's the importance of it staying?
I think the word Goggins uses the cookie jar. Having wins to reflect on can be great motivation to keep pushing in the right direction too. As I kind of mentioned earlier, the seeking discomfort, if you can do things that are hard that you don't want to do, that will make you better, it's not just the physical benefit you get, it's the mental benefit as well. It's the brain has a win. More cookies in the cookie jar to pull from to fuel you to keep going. And having that there as a reminder is, hey, that's something I hated doing. I still hate it. I've conquered that. I've tackled that. I keep kicking ass on it. It's really important to have that reminder that you got wins in you, especially the things that you didn't want to take on, things you're giving up on initially. You never even need to try to fight them.
I like the aspect that you brought up, the cookie jar. It's another one of my favorite tools from David Goggins. And so what you said there was that you remind yourself to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And so usually when you tell yourself to keep going, you're not really having a good time in what you're currently doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably either wanting to read, but you're just dead tired. It's like, I can't turn another page. Or it's time for you to go to the gym. And it's like, you know what? This bed feels real comfortable. it's something that you don't want to do, or even like a donut. It's like, I know I should be eating a protein bar, but instead, this jelly filled donut from whatever restaurant or whatever bake shop looks very delicious. And so keep going is the important part. And I think the cookie jar, it's not necessarily like cookies, but if you think about a cookie, it's a reward to yourself. And so it's kind of keeping track of everything that you've already accomplished and pulling on those positive memories to keep going forward. And so right now, as far as using a cookie jar analysis, that's where you kind of put your old conquered things from the accountability mirror.
Exactly.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
And so what do you do when you don't want to actually do the things that are on your ritual board or on your accountability mirror? How do you process that with yourself? Because as though we have these reminders around us and we strive for perfection, sometimes it just doesn't happen. So how do you deal with those situations?
I try to find motivation in other areas that have been successful for me. Sometimes I think about the end goal and just focus on getting started and moving, going through the motions, if you will. There's always been a statement about if you fake motivation, you can find real motivation. You act rah-rah and all of a sudden everybody is rah-rah, that kind of deal. You can see that in GOG and SEAL training. I have to steal from Jocko a decent bit as far as motivational things about, discipline and going anyways. And you don't want to do it, great, do it anyways. The background on my phone actually is the word good. And I love the word good because it encompasses things are bad. Things are not looking good. Things suck. I have an opportunity here because of it. It's like, I hurt my knee. I had to get surgery for it. Okay, good. I can focus on my upper body strength. I'm knocked out to the side. I can focus on my business production. I can focus my energy other places in the meantime. I don't want to run. Good. I'm glad you don't want to run. Now when you run, you get even more out of it because you conquer something you didn't want to do. I lost. Good. I found out a way I can get better because I found a weakness that was exposed.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go work out today. Good. I can get more out of it today because I didn't want to do it and I did it anyways.
And this because you created this mental room of like discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your tools in there is having that good kind of like reminder, even like on a chalkboard. It's like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Good. Let me go ahead and prove to myself that I can do it, even though I don't want to.
Yep.
I think it's fantastic to have in there.
And then you remember how good it feels when you've conquered that. At the end of it, and you get a good workout in and you didn't want to be there in the first place, or you do a project that you didn't want to start, or you finish a book that you didn't want to read and you got a lot out of it, especially.
Oh, those are the best. Your friend's like, hey, read this book. You're like,
putting it off. And you do it and it's like, okay, I read that book. It was hard to read initially. I got a lot out of it. I got benefit. I accomplished this goal. Or, I journaled today. Like I didn't want to start journaling. I just don't feel like getting the book out. I did it. I had a great reflection. Like that felt great. I did it. I did what I needed to do. I feel better because of it. I feel the improvement made.
I like that. So it sounds like you've done a lot of work as far as creating that mental room, allocating energy, resources to there.
Yeah.
And I think as you talk about mental rooms, obviously they're kind of like rooms, like in your whole life. And you have to enter those rooms to develop them. A lot of people are afraid to kind of enter into those rooms. They don't want to take the time to do it. But you have to do it. And if you have a room of discomfort, know that when you go in there, you're going to be a little uncomfortable. But just because you're uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that you can't be successful in it. Hence why you have things like the cookie jar. And you're not going to be on a lost journey, which is why in the real world, you have the Hawthorne effect driven by the ritual board, as well as the accountability mirror to kind of tell you the day by day things that you need to get done. And once you write it out and you conquer that, you take it off and you put them in the side. I'm like, these are the things that I didn't want to do, but I know they're going to make me uncomfortable. And I've crushed them, I've conquered them, and I'm ready for more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you've made some great progress as far as building up that mental room.
I have, especially the last year and a half. I've had a lot of good progress in as far as my approach, and the mental room is a great way to say it. The mindset of going in there and remembering that I know I'm going to feel better after this. I know I'm going to be better after this. It's going to suck, but it's going to be worth it.
All right, Luke. As we kind of wind down here, do you have any parting words of wisdom from yourself on how to best use this tool to make the best path forward for anyone's looking out there to find how they can kind of overcome things?
I think find out what your end goal is. Identify where you're going and why you want to get there. And identify how you want to get there. Identify the ways you do want to do to get there. Identify the things you don't want to do to get there. And make sure you're tackling both sides of that group.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, Luke. I couldn't ask for a better friend and a better person to kind of help kick off this podcast. And so, just to kind of recap what Luke said, he wants to create the discomfort room. And there he has a lot of different tools in there. That includes the Hawthorne effect, the ritual board, the accountability mirror, the cookie jar, and also just the word good. I will be recapping each of those tools, and you'll have it in the description of the video. Please feel free to look at each of those tools and find which ones could work best for you to make your best path going forward. Until next time, we'll see you later. Thank you for watching and listening to today's episode. Chances are you're looking to embark on your own personal development journey. I'm not going to lie to you. True personal development is hard, and it's supposed to be hard. That's because you're not only changing who you are, but how you operate. The aim of this podcast is to give you a community of people that are striving to do the same. So like and subscribe to the channel, but more importantly, comment below on how you plan on using today's tool to find your own best path forward. We'll see you next time.